Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining this session. My name is Isabel. I am an event planner for the Reactor, joining you live from Sydney, Australia. Before we begin, we have a quick housekeeping. We are committed to fostering a welcoming, inclusive, and supportive environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, please let's keep our comments respectful and constructive throughout the session. Drop your questions in the chat. We'll be keeping an eye out for questions throughout the session and answering live. Our session is being recorded and will be available to view on demand within 24 to 48 hours right here on the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel. I will now be handing over the spotlight to our fantastic presenter, Renee, who will be guiding us throughout our session today. Take it away, Renee.
Thank you so much, Isabel. So excited to be here today with you all to be part of this live stream event and this record-setting event, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. There we go. Yes, here we go. Our record, I should say. My name's Renee Noble. I am a senior cloud advocate. There we go. For Microsoft in the Python Cloud Advocacy team, which is very exciting. We will be doing a bit of Django today, so very excited about that. But we are here we're going to try and set a record, everybody. So try and join us in this attempt to set a record. We are trying to get the most people to do this AI skill learning module. So join us by signing up and earning your badge through this mechanism here that's on this slide. If you want to check out my LinkedIn, you can scan this QR code or look me up. And yeah, follow me if you want to hear more about the stuff that I do. So on to today's agenda. We have a lot of stuff to get through today in only our one short hour. So we're going to see how far we can get with this ambitious Learn module. We're going to start off with a bit of an introduction of GitHub Copilot Agent Mode, fresh off the presses. Only coming out more like publicly in the last few days, really. So you may not have tried this unless you've tried it in the preview mode. So very exciting for a lot of people. We'll be also covering the learning objectives that are part of the Learn module. Of course, we are doing our Learn Live today, so we are going to be going through a Learn module. We'll explore the power of Copilot Agent Mode and what we can do with it. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff today. We're going to be making a lot of code and hopefully we're going to have a working website at the end. We're going to be making a fitness tracker application. So that's our goal for today. And yeah, we're just going to be working through that. So let's give it a go. Here is the background information that you're going to need as we get into this. The setting for this is Meriton High School. So we're going to be working on creating a fitness app in this context, with the idea that students rarely exercise outside of PE, physical education classes. So we need a fun and engaging way for them to get involved. So the solution is our OctoFit tracker app, where we're going to be using GitHub Copilot Agent Mode to build one based on something from an idea that someone from another school has shared with us. So they've given us their instructions on some of their code on how they went about making their one for their school. And then we've got some ideas about what ours is going to be like as well. So we've got those two pieces of information, which we'll take a look at in a minute, in our back pocket as we go forward with Agent Mode, which we'll be having a look at those as it helps us craft our own OctoFit tracker app. So key features of this are going to be user profiles for each of the students who are involved in tracking their fitness, team competitions and a leaderboard, personalized workout suggestions, and keeping track of those in a dashboard. So our tasks will be following our hypothetical teacher Paul's journey using GitHub Codespaces. We're going to be using Codespaces today. If you haven't used that, I will talk a little bit about that, but it's going to be a handy tool for us. And learning how to use GitHub Copilot Agent Mode and building a similar application using GitHub Copilot Agent using the help of a medical friend who's given us some tips on what they did at their pretend school. So that's what we're working on today. This is the Learn module we're going to be going through, building applications with GitHub Copilot Agent Mode. So Isabel is going to be fantastic, and you're going to drop that in the chat where you can pick that up. It's as it's written on the screen, and you can also grab it from the QR code. But without any further ado, I'm going to jump over to that module and we are going to have a look. So here we are, as shown on the previous slide. And we've got a few prerequisites in here, mostly having a GitHub account and a vague understanding of GitHub Copilot. But if you haven't tried it out yet, I think you'll be able to pick it up during the session as well. And if you've got some other previous experience in Django or React, that might come in handy as you go along in terms of understanding. But I will also try and give a brief overview of at least Django. I'm not really a React developer, but hopefully GitHub Copilot Agent Mode will be able to help me out with that. But as a person in the Python Cloud Advocacy team, I'm a big lover of Django. So very excited to get started with some Django today. And we'll be going through these different modules here as part of the Learn session. But let's get started with the Start button, as you normally do. So we're not going to take too much time on the introduction and learning objectives. I will leave that as homework for all of you to have a full look through this, but you can check out here our Guinness World Record attempt and get involved by registering for Microsoft AI Skills Fest, completing this module, and then verifying your involvement in this to join our record attempt. So definitely go ahead and do that as part of this. We would love if you could help us meet that milestone. So as part of this, our learning objectives are going to be mostly to understand how we can build things with VS Code, GitHub code spaces, but also with the help of GitHub Copilot Agent Mode to create an app. So we're going to have some documentation that's going to be used in Agent Mode, and we're going to get to see how Agent Mode can generate code and file structures for us using that information it's been provided, as well as fix errors, refactor code, and develop new features. So let's get on to the next section. GitHub Copilot Agent Mode. We're going to mostly show this as a demo. Feel free to give a read of this information as well. It is building on top of things you might have already used before. So things like GitHub edits, GitHub Copilot edits, where you could edit multiple files. This is kind of the next evolution of that, where it is being a bit more proactive, I'm going to say, in terms of providing the next steps and helping you on your journey to creating something like an app. So let's jump along. Okay, as part of our app, we're going to be creating a few different bits and pieces. So we're going to be creating a REST API as part of this, which is going to be our Django backend, which will be storing our data that is basically makes up the app. Then we're going to need to obviously access that data and then pull that into our React frontend, where we can actually see it in something that students would actually want to use. So hopefully we get through all of that here today. And we're going to be doing this in many steps because we've got a lot of stuff to do. We're going to have Django to set up. We're going to have the whole database, the file structure to set up. We've got a database. We're going to be using MongoDB today. We're going to need a virtual environment. And we've got our front end. So just a lot of bits and pieces all going on. GitHub agents will be kind to us today and help us along. If you've been using Copilot before, you will see that you all know that's not always 100% correct. That's why it is our Copilot, and it is something that helps us as human developers to be able to do things faster and more easily. But it's always great to have a human in the loop, and it's always great to have a look at the code that it generates before you commit it, before you deploy it, because it is important. And at the end of the day, it's your job on the line and not Copilot's job on the line. So you are responsible for the things you generate with AI. So always keep your finger on the pulse of what you are doing. So with that in mind, let's have a look at the activity we're going to be doing. As we said, we're going to have an app that has profiles. It's going to track fitness monitoring, leaderboards, and personalized workout suggestions, which is great. And we are going to set up a GitHub code space. We're going to configure GitHub Copilot. We're going to use GitHub Copilot Agent Mode to refine and build the components and implement the fitness tracking. And then we're going to then optimize our AI generated code if we have enough time. So let's keep moving on. We are going to be using the template that is on GitHub for this. So once we get up to this step number 4, we get to the bottom and we're going to get started. And I'm going to open this in a new tab for us. So start the exercise on GitHub. Here we go. We have this wonderful module here that we have instructions on how to use. So we've got a bunch of things in here, the files that it comes with, and I will look through those in a moment. But to get started off, let's just go through these sections. We're going to be coming down to here in step 1. It's going to get us to create this is a template GitHub repository, so we can create our own version of this. So I'm going to right click on this, and then I'm going to have that open in a new tab. So this is going to help me set up my templated version of this repo. And I've done this before, so I'm going to give it a new name. This is my live version. I'm going to make it public. Anyone can see this later. So let's keep on going. So that's going to get started setting up. And it will generate a GitHub action, which will actually have the instructions on how we can do this. So let's just quickly jump back to here. We've got this in the new tab, and we just have to wait about 20 seconds. So you make sure you do that. I was a bit confused at the start when I first did this and didn't realize it was only going to be a GitHub action that's generating the next steps for us to be able to do this. And then we'll be able to start the exercise. So I'm going to get rid of my original one right now, and then I'm going to only use the new one that I've got over there. So otherwise, I'm going to get confused. So hopefully, maybe our GitHub action is set up by now. I'm just going to refresh the screen. Yes, that page is refreshed, and now I can start the exercise. So I'm going to click on this. I'm actually going to do it in a new tab because I believe this is going to set up our code space. Nope, that's a lie. It's going to take us to the GitHub action that's going to tell us to set up our code space. Okay, so it's generated this information for us when it ran its GitHub actions. And now we've got these instructions. And just when we go into this, we do need to make sure that we are working on the right repo when we get into our code spaces. Because otherwise, you're going to have not as great a time. So code spaces, there is the free tier of code spaces, and it will come with any GitHub account. Used up all of your code spaces minutes for this month. That is completely fine to go ahead and use. So we're going to start by opening this in a new tab, and then we are going to be checking that it is the correct URL that has our new name for this. So it should have your GitHub repo there, and then it should have whatever name you put at the end. So I'm going to create that code space, and it's not going to take too long to get started. If you haven't used code spaces before, this is basically VS Code in the cloud with a place to run all of your code, which is really fantastic. It's also really great because when you're using a template like this, we're able to provide, firstly, all the files, but we can also do things like helping to set up the dev container, which will provide things that help it get started up. It might provide a virtual environment in another example, or all sorts of things that might configure how VS Code looks, what extensions are available, and things like that. So it's really handy to use code spaces, and I really love it. And it's really great for a uniform experience. And also, if your computer isn't like super powerful, then it might be a great thing for running the servers and things that you will need to be doing as part of this exercise. So we've opened our code space. That's looking great. Then we are checking that confirm the repo field in the copy of your exercise is the correct one. We are on our own one here, so this should be fine. Great. And then we are going to need to make sure we have access to the agent mode, which is rolling out in preview. So if you, let's actually make this a bit bigger so people can see the screen better. And then we can see up here, we've got the Copilot button. We're just going to grab that. And now we have the window here, and we can see there's a little drop down here. And I am already on insiders mode, but so I do have agent mode available. Potentially there is a four-phase rollout going on. So you might have agent mode just because you're in the right region in the world. But if you don't currently have that, you can then click on the cog And we can see I've got switch to stable version. You can have switch to insiders version there if you are on stable version currently. So switch to insiders version, and then it will ask you to restart your code space, which will then allow you to toggle this to agent mode, and you can set that. So that's great. So we're going to have a few things going on in this screen here today. I'm going to start by getting open the instructions for this activity. So we've previously been following the instructions in here, but we've got to nearly the end of that. We're going to copy this. So the next part is just asking us to create a new branch on this project. So we're going to do that. So I've copied this instruction here, this prompt. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to just paste that in. And it's just going to give us some instructions on how to make a new GitHub branch, a new Git branch in our terminal. Here we go. And this is we're going to be doing a lot of today. We're going to be doing a lot of running stuff from here in our terminal, and it's going to make us be able to create a whole app, really, and it's pretty cool. Okay, so I'm going to make a new branch. You may have slightly different instructions. When I've pre-done this workshop, it has done the new branch and the checkout in one step. So yours might have the branch and the B, or you might have 3 steps here like me for the last one. So we've made a branch, we've checked out the branch, and we have pushed the branch upstream. And you may need to allow the fonts. For some reason, this repo has some specific fonts it would like to use. So feel free to give that a tick, and you can have that too. Now you can see here in my terminal that I am on the build Octofit app branch. So hooray, we have done that first set of instructions, and we are all done with this GitHub action. And we can go and we're going to stay inside of our workspace here now. So I'm just going to bring this down a little bit. We've just got a little bit of screen real estate to manage. And so next up, we're going to find where those instructions are. They're in the .github folder in the steps area. So we've done the preparing. We can, if you want to see the instructions in not markdown version, you can click the preview button here. It's the one with the little magnifying glass. So let's pop that across and we'll see that that is what we have already done here. So we're done with that one. And then this one doesn't have the click to go to the next one. So I'm going to open the step number 2 and once again preview that. The rest of the ones will have a button to go to the next step, so we don't have to keep opening these files. Should be handy. Okay, cool. So the initial application setup, directory structure, Python requirements, and MongoDB. So we're getting a bit of the basis of what we need to do done in this part here. So we have a bunch of prompts that are prepared that's going to help us to create all the files because we're going to need a backend, we're going to need a front end. We're also going to need a bunch of libraries for Python to get us Django and to get us a bunch of other things. And we're going to put that in a virtual environment as well. So this is going to help us get that all set up, once again, using GitHub Copilot agents. So the instructions do say don't change it from GPT-4o. Some of the other advocate friends I have said it's actually been great on the other options as well. So feel free to try whatever you want. This has been tested with GPT-4o, and that's where people have had the most success. But if at some point it doesn't quite go right for you, it's your project. I'm not the boss of you. Feel free to use whatever one you want. But we do recommend using GPT-4o as we do this. And yeah, that is what it's designed for. So first step, we're going to be asking it to do a number of steps here. And each of these has a few things, and it's actually going to create numbers of things, and it's going to help us step through them one by one. So it's going to be looking at, I will take you actually through the files we have available first, where it's going to be learning what it's doing. Then it's going to create the file structure is the next part of this one. And then we're going to be doing the virtual environment here. I'm going to put that on to marinate, let's say, in the AI over here. So just pasting that in again. While it does that, I will pop open the docs. So this is the stuff that I was talking about earlier. We've got our our idea or our code that someone else has given us from their other school, where they've got all this stuff that they've already built. So you can have a look at this and see how the agent is actually getting the information that it needs to be able to do all of this. So we've got a file structure, we've got all of the libraries that they've used, we've got some instructions around Django, and we go down Mongo instructions, we've got Django instructions. So we've got even some code in here as well as a basis. So this is kind of where it's getting an understanding of, and you might compare this to a project you have at work already where you want to be able to use the things and the style that's already there, and then you will be able to generate new code that's in line with that kind of idea. For our new app, we do have some also things that we've written is our character in our new school, where we have the story of what the idea is and like what we wanted to have in terms of features and functionality and basically what the vibe is of what we should do and the technologies that we can use to do it. So writing those instructions out also has the ideas and the structure that we're going to need to have as we move forward with our agent created project here. Because it does need some instructions. It can't read your mind. So this is where you got to get out all your ideas or have something to borrow from a friend, or maybe a template or something that you're using to give some inspiration to the agent. So that's what we've got going on. But while we've been reading about that, let's have a look at what we've had going on over here. So I pasted in the instructions, and it's got a few things. It's read the documents that we've just read, so just at the same time as us reading it. And it has reviewed all of those. It's also setting up a requirements.txt file. So we can see here, we've got a file now called Octofit Tracker. So that's brand new. It has generated the different files inside. So we've got this backend folder and we've got the frontend folder. They're both largely empty except for these Git files, which we don't need to think about. So that's all happened, which is great, following the instructions of setting up the things there. And then we will soon, it will have a requirements.txt file. But first, I think it wants us to make the virtual environment. So we do need to say, yes, let's run this command here. So let's go ahead with that. Okie dokie, there we go. And it has generated the virtual environment there in the Octofit backend folder that we've already created. Okay, and then following that, it's like, well, now I've got a virtual environment. You know what I want to do? I want to have a requirements.txt. But before we can run that, we do need to source our virtual environment. So that's saying, hey, let's go inside the virtual environment. And then once we get in there, we're going to pip install all of the requirements that it's just created. But before we do that, I do want to give this a tick. So this is saying, hey, yes, I would like to keep this file. So you should always have a look at this. Make sure, your files are the correct versions and things like that. Or, with code, obviously check your code is doing what you want and what you thought it was going to do. So we're going to give that a tick. We're also going to give these git keeps a tick. I'm going to get rid of those from my workspace just because trying to keep it tidy. And then we're going to run this code as well. So we're entering our environment, and now we are installing all the very many things that are in this requirements.txt file. So that's all going to keep happening there. Let me go back to our instructions. Let's just get rid of a few of these things because they are going to clutter up my screen, which I want to keep nice and big so you can all see it properly. That's not the one. Back to the steps. Step number 2 in the preview. Great. Okay. So it's installed all of those now. So that's our first prompt done. Terrific. And it seems like it's happy about all of that. Terrific. Okay. That's done. And now we're going to go on to the next one. Installing MongoDB. So let's pick this one up. We can also see, I'll point out now, we can see that the venv is created and we are inside the venv when we've got it here. A thing to note is if you do click done on this, it will close this terminal, which will be a pain in the butt for you. So this Copilot terminal is attached to this session right now. So if I click done, it's going to go away. And if I go into my other terminal here, we can see it's not inside the virtual environment. So you will need to resource the virtual environment if that does happen. And you'll start getting all sorts of errors if you haven't noticed that has happened, and you'll be upset like I was when I was like, where did it all go? So that might happen if you click done, or just occasionally it will happen because it's changed. It's made another session because you've given some specific command. So just watch out for that venv and make sure it's always there. So let's get on with the next one here. And let's once again get rid of these guys and pop in this next prompt about installing MongoDB. Okay, that's going to go now. MongoDB is a object-based database structure. So it's a NoSQL style database if you haven't used it before. And let's start by using sudo apt-get update to update our supply of libraries and then installing MongoDB. So this is a Linux command because this is an Ubuntu machine under the hood in our code space. So that's running there now. So yeah, it's quite, the structure of MongoDB is quite like JSON kind of structure in terms of how it stores its information, like a document-centric way, rather than having a lot of tables to cross between. Okay, we have installed. Great. It seems happy with that. Let's move on to the next one. So we're going to be starting MongoDB, and then we're going to verify that it is running. So let's see how it says to do this. Okay, running here, and we'll see what command it gives me. That looks pretty good to me. That's the one that I'm expecting. Sometimes it likes to give me a different command and then it has an error, but when it does have an error, it does look that it sees it hasn't quite worked, and then it will like re-change it, so it'll give you something new to run. But this one has run beautifully, and we've got 2 OKs here of starting and checking the status. So we're loving that. Moving on to the next one. That's the end of this section here. Let us, looks like since I last forked the repo, it's changed a little bit. So they've got rid of the lovely buttons that I promised would be there, but that's okay. You can click onto step number 3 in the .github/steps/number 3. So we're going on to now initialize both our MongoDB database, i.e. the schema and the structure, as well as our Django project here. So yes, if you haven't used Django before, it is a Python framework. It's like a more heavyweight Python framework than something like Flask or FastAPI. It does inherently require a database, but it is a good one to use if you're like out of the box. I would like to be able to do some of these more data-centric things. So it's a great one for this project that we're doing here today. And we're going to get started on creating the project folder for our app and configuring the app, like all the management.py and setup.py and things like that within the app that will be able to actually run the server, run things to do with the database. So we're getting started here saying we're going to start a project. We're giving it a name, OctoFit Tracker, and we're going to make this inside the OctoFit Tracker backend. There's going to be another file in here, as we can see, another folder, I should say, OctoFit Tracker. So we do have OctoFit Tracker, backend, OctoFit Tracker, and then we get all of these settings and configuration files in here that are inherent to our Django program and app. So we've got that happening, and now it is configuring the project to use MongoDB. So we can see in real time, it is creating these messages and actually updating the code. So we can see, this is pretty fun to watch, all the code being created here and lighting up. So that's quite fun to watch. And we can have a look at all the things that it's changing to use Mongo rather than SQLite, which is generated by default as the base one. So yeah, and then allowing cross-origin resources and things like that. So that's all happening. I'm going to hit keep on that one. So we'll have that. And terrific. Okay, let's go ahead and then run our server. And am I not? I'm not in. So as we can see here, we were previously over here in our venv, and now we are not. So we're going to ask it to source the venv. So you can either right in here, you can ask help me source the venv. Or if you're like, how would I know how to do that myself? You can also just do it yourself, saying source, and then the location of it is in Octo, and then in backend, and then we've got the venv, and then we need to do bin activate. So, but of course, you can ask Copilot to help you with that. And we can see now we've got the venv here as well, as we always need, because we don't have Django installed otherwise. So, oh, it's even suggested now. I got ahead of it, and that's a shame. So we can still run this, and it will then do the running the server. So here we go. We've got a server running already, and I can open this in the browser. And here we go. You will have to be like, yes, it's the site that I've just made. And we have a live Django app right there. It just doesn't have anything in it yet, but it is a live server, which is pretty exciting to have in only the 32 minutes that I have had your lovely presence, including all the other talking that I did. So that's pretty good. Terrific. Let's get rid of that one and just clean up a little bit. Okay. Terrific. Make a little room here. Okay. I think we've done that one. Moving around, it's easy to lose place on my screen. And we're going to move on to doing the Mongo database. Okay, so we're going to initialize our Mongo database, create a table structure for our users, teams, activity, leaderboard, and workout collections. We're going to say that we have to have a primary. Then we're going to execute the command to create the database and list the collections. Sorry, these aren't individual things. These are things that may all be tied up into one step. So we're going to start by doing this one to specify kind of the structure of the database, as we can see here in this very JSON-like structure, as I mentioned earlier. So we're going to run that. And it has gone back to our first window. We can see there. And it's gone. It's great. It's happy. Terrific. Let's go on with the next one. And this is going to list all of our collections. So as we said, we've got activities, leaderboard, teams, users, and workouts. So that's looking pretty good. Moving on. Let's get a little bit more screen real estate here. Okay, this one is a long one. It just has a lot of different kind of module-y kind of things. It wants us to have all the settings, basically doing the plumbing, I'm going to say, of having an app, because we have just created all these different structures. And for each of those different tables, we're going to have each collection. We do want to have a way to view it in our website. So we're going to need the backend to have a URL for it, a way to get the data out, a way to represent the data in a way that's not all databasey looking. So we're going to have all of this stuff, which is going to help us make all of these different views, essentially, for the data, which is going to create our API endpoints to start with. So we're going to hit that, and it's going to go through and it's going to do all these steps for us, which is going to be pretty great. Okay, off to the races you go. Okay, here we go. It's doing a lot of stuff. So it's looking to see that we haven't done all these things already. So it's like, okay, they're not currently present. I'm going to create them because they're missing. But it would go and have a look if they were there first, rather than just like doing them anyway if you'd already created them, something like that. So now we have all of these being generated, and we'll be able to see it generate in real time, which is pretty fun, as it will fly through here to generate our model code, as we'll see, which will reference the 5 different tables or collections that we've got in our Mongo database. So let's keep going. AI, we got a lot of stuff to get through in this time, and it's pretty fast. I can't really complain, but I don't want to keep you guys waiting. Okay, maybe it's creating some other things we could look at. It's doing its best. Okay, it's thinking. It's pulling more things in here. And we can see we've got a lot of files that have been created here already. Do you have any stuff for us to look at? Not yet. If you are trying to follow along, I see some people are having some troubles with various things in the chat. We don't have enough time for me to help you all out today, but you will have access to this Learn module later. And there is this recording that will be available, as well as recordings in other languages as well around the globe. That this session has been going all day with different people speaking in Spanish and in, I forget what other languages it's been delivered in. I think it's coming up next in Hebrew, which is very cool. So yeah, lots of stuff going on here. And then hopefully it'll have some new stuff. This is taking longer than I expected, but here we go. Let's find serializers. Maybe it's got something for us. Here we go. Okay. So it's just generated all this code for us, which is great. We can see our serializers, which is basically saying, hey, get the database thing out, and we want to have it in a way that is human ingestible. So now we've got all of these. We've got our views as well, and it's populated all these for like get the stuff out of the database and then serialize it. Let's have a look. So for each of the different things, it tells you what kind of data is in it. So a user has an ID, a username, an email, and a password. So that's our schema for our ORM object relational model there. So we're going to keep all of these. If this was not a live stream, I would go and I would look and make sure all of these were correct, but we're going to trust in the process just for this live stream. But as I said, always make sure you're the person in the picture because it's your app at the end of the day. Okay, cool. We have done that. Let's pop back to our instructions. Okay, number 3. The pretty one, thank you. Okay, we did the long one, and we have just this one here left to do on number 3. Okay, so this section is data and adding the data so we can have something that's our app will have things to look at. Otherwise, it'll be a pretty sad app. It has jumped me out. Thought I wanted to edit it, but I do not. We're going to pull that out again. Make sure we're on the right one. Okay. Here we go. Copy this across. So we can add that data in from our, so we've generated that data based on what was in the example one that I took us through earlier. So it's going to now populate our MongoDB database with that information, which we'll be able to see soon through our API endpoints, which will be pretty exciting. Okay. Come on, Copilot. Here we go. It's writing this populate DB file. So this is how we're going to get all that data in. Actually, it's writing all the data in here as we speak. So we've just seen all these names and things that it's pulled out of that instruction one that we have from the docs file. And then we can see that it's got all this and it's ready to populate our data. So we're going to keep that. And then we are ready to, once again, make sure our environment venv is sourced and then run manage.py migrate. So this is next step is about migrating the data, the database to have the right structure for the data. So let's hit that. So Django, a thing you'll become familiar with is running make migrations and then migrate the database. And it's happy. So that's good. Lots of green OKs here and correct on this side that the AI also thinks it's okay. Let's pop some of these closed because so many files are being created that it is taking up all the screen. Okay, cool. So now this one is going to, once again, make sure the venv is activated, and then it is going to populate database using the manage.py. It's kind of like a place that kind of controls the app. So it's a way to have a lot of utilities through manage.py. Okay, cool. So that has happened, we believe. So we will just need to test now to make sure that it has in fact happened. So this one is going to tell us what's in the database. And that does look like a lot of empty lists, which is not great. But right now it's gone, hey, actually that looks kind of empty. I'm going to investigate it. So this is the self-healing aspect of the agent mode. So it's investigating what's going on here. This doesn't seem great. It's going to give us a new thing in a second. Let's find out what it says to do. can't remember. This definitely happened in my practice as well. And then it was able to figure it out, which is pretty impressive of what's gone wrong. So let's see what it wants us to do next. It is rewriting our populate database. Cool. So potentially the schemas didn't match up or something. It's creating some logging info. So we can see when that's happening. So we'll be able to see some output there. Let us give it another go and give that a run. See what it says. It's logged all these things about creating activities and stuff. So that's hopeful. Okay. Now it's going to verify the test data again. Fingers crossed on this one. On this. That's not looking great either. We are in our vent. That's good. So investigating settings.py. Let's see how this goes. This is the thing about live demos as well as AI. Live demos have become scarier when you now use AI, where you can't be sure exactly what you're going to get. And that can be, as a person who's doing the live demo, you want to know what you're going to be able to put in, but that's not what we're going to do here today. We're going to trust in the agent mode and hope it can help us out. And then now, I would like some help with querying my this is my Python environment. Okay, I kind of didn't expect you to put me in a Python environment. Actually, let's. And I'm actually going to, so let's get out of that with a Control Command D for you. If you have entered that, if you are in the same situation that I am in, this is a bit of luck of the draw sometimes with this. So let us actually, what I have had success with before is actually just putting in the same instruction again. So I'm going to pick this up and pop that in. And see how it goes. It just wants to go straight to testing this time. And I would rather that it didn't do that. So we'll see what it thinks it's going to do. Maybe it's because we haven't hit keep on this item here. I'm going to just ask it to database population again. We'll see how this goes. Okay, let's do that. Populate DB. Fingers crossed. Okay, and then hopefully some data will come through. Oh dear, that's not ideal. Okay, what are we going to do here now is the next question. Okay, maybe it's related to the Django ORM. Let us just ask it. So in the spirit of just using this, and we are a hopeful gym teacher in the aim of creating an app. Otherwise, I could go into Python advocacy mode and try and get in the weeds and figure it out myself, but that is not in the spirit of this live stream. So we're going to ask it, what is wrong with my database? Yes, let's commit to looking into the database. So it wants to look inside the database. Let's see what it gives us in terms of commands. We'll test raw MongoDB queries directly. Thank you. That is what I want to do. I don't want to do them in the shell. Okay, if you do it for me, agent, I will allow you to do this. Otherwise, I would probably just go into the Mongo shell myself. In the tables. So let's see what it wants to do now that we're in here. Let's go. While we wait for that, those of you who are new to Django, it is, so what we'll have is our database connection, which connects to our models. We ran our migrations earlier, which are about aligning our models to our database, really. So we've created our models here, and it says, hey, this is the shape of all our stuff, and I want to inform the database so that that's what it should have. So in the future, you might add to an activity like the location, for instance, that you did it. So you would add that field into your model here, writing your Python code, and then you could generate the models with make migrations. So you generate the migrations with make migrations, and then you would migrate the database to do that, which is pretty cool. And then you didn't have to know about all the different database things necessarily. You can stay on the Python side, which is pretty exciting. And it does mean that you can use multiple different databases with Django, and then you can always have the same experience from this side in terms of how you interact with your models. So yeah, that's what went on there while we wait for this. So give us a little help, my friend. So yes, I'm seeing some comments about vibe coding in the chat. I do not personally believe in vibe coding. As I keep saying, you do need to ensure that you are part of the process in that. But the spirit of this Learn module is seeing how much you can do with agent mode. And given that you have written extensive documentation that is provided here in the OctFit story, as well as in the Mona High School Fitness example. So we've got the file structure, we've got actual code here in the bottom. So having that as an example. Definitely do not endorse letting a computer just do all the work for you. It is your responsibility at the end of the day. And always feel free to look at the Microsoft Responsible AI Principles to make sure you are also acting responsibly with AI, both for your self-interest and your future company's creations interests as well. Okay. It is having a little bit of a time here. So we will see. We're going to start a new chat here. Sometimes you just got to refresh it, but that is probably going to mean it's not connected to our terminal anymore. We'll see how it goes. Let's go back to an instructions over here. If we don't get past this area for now, I may go on to the next part, which is about setting up the API. We won't have any data that is already in there, but we should be able to enter some possibly from the front end. So that would be all right. So let's have a look at this in the version that is fit for human eyes. Okay, we've created the test data extensively. Let's run that one more time. Then we're going to move on to the next part and show you how it can make the API endpoints at least, even if we don't have any demo data this time around. Just because it's going to take us more. Either we could go through and debug it ourselves, but in our remaining 11 minutes, I don't think we're going to be bugging manually or trying to get Copilot Agent to help us out, as well as build the API and hopefully build a front end. We're going to see how we end up here. We may be having a little bit of a GitHub Copilot Agent or just Copilot issue here on my side. It's just going a little bit slowly. Let's just refresh the whole window, which is unideal for keeping all of our vens, but that's okay. It is part and parcel for having to restart your Vim every single day. So may as well get a lot of practical. That's fun. I do appreciate that code spaces. Okay. Let's see if we can do this. Okay, it's okay. It's feeling better. It's alive and well. So we'll get up the next step, number 4, for us to get ready to do the next part. Okay, yes, we've created the files, run the migrations. We want to populate that database again, and then we'll check it again. Okay, fingers crossed, give us the steps. We've got a timeline to keep to my agent friend. Okay, here's the test data again. Oh, it's done it in a different way this time. It's not in the populate database and populate DB. So that's okay. We'll see how it goes with its new idea. And we are not, we are in the Venv. I'm going to ignore this one for now. Okay. It seems having a little bit of a time, missing the requirements.txt file in the backend. It is not identified where requirements.txt is the first time around. It's possibly making a new one. I am a little bit concerned about that. It might have gone a little bit off the rails. Because we do have this one over here. No, it's found it. It's just a little bit confused, and that's okay. This is a brand new feature that came out about 4 days ago, so do be kind to it and watch and see as it grows over the next couple months, couple weeks. It's a pretty fast turnaround on some of these features as I see some of the teams working on it. It's pretty exciting. Do install requirements.txt again for some reason. It did not give it the correct path. So hopefully it is. We're already in the event, so okay. It's got a lot of ideas about what we want to do here. I'm actually just going to move on to the next part because I think it's gone a bit off the rails. So we are going to have a look at step 4. So we can get a API page going, which would be great. We'll just make one by hand. So make some data by hand when we get there. Okay, so with this one, we do need to go and get the name of our code space. So where we have our server, you can see up here, I've got cuddly meme and then a bunch of letters and numbers. I'm going to grab that. I'm going to making sure this deploys in the right place. So I'm actually going to go and edit my Markdown file because I just find that easier. But you can just copy and paste the whole thing into your GitHub Copilot, and then you can make this update in there. But just in case I need to do it again, I want to have this on hand. Okay, let us present that again in the pretty view. And we're going to grab that and we're going to pop it in. And hopefully it's going to go well. Okay, so in this section, it's hard to read when it's doing that, but as you can see, it's creating a bunch of things. So we are activating the virtual environment again, very important. Then if we can stay on the instructions, it doesn't really want us to do that. Then it is, I thought I replaced this one already. So we'll see how this goes. I'm just going to run that again. I thought you were gone. Otherwise, it will not work very well. Let's grab the cuddly meme again. And then it's going to be better. Otherwise, we will end up having our front end, our APIs pointing at one place and our database pointing at another place, and it's going to be very upsetting. Okay, let us do that again. We're going to grab this, which is now cuddly memes in both spots, which is great. We're going to pop that in here. We're going to cancel that one that's already running. I'm going to keep all of these because hopefully they will already be done, and then that will be great. Okay, keep all of those and off to the races we go. We have started the server again, so that's promising, maybe. I didn't know we were going to be doing that in this part. No, we're going to test the endpoints. Okay, that's okay. Great. It's making a bunch of things for the different views. So this is the ways we actually access the things. I thought we made the views earlier, so it's doing some stuff that maybe it's already done before. But that's all right. It doesn't take it a lot of time, so that's okay for it to do. Let's see. You do always want to keep a track of if it's got rid of something that you intended to be there. So that is why we do have the opportunity to go through and have a look at these things, and it will highlight any changes. And you can always see the files that it's changed there. So, okay, it says we are ready to run the server. Hopefully, we're going to have a few different API endpoints in there when we get there. Okay, the port is already in use because the server is already running. So we're going to stop the server, which is on any one of these many areas that it's created. Okay, sure. On to this one, which is our new one that we're using. Keeps making new terminals, which is just a little hard to keep track of sometimes, but that's all right. And it is having trouble running the server, so I'm just going to run it where it was running before, and it will hopefully be happy. Okay, let's go check that out. Let us try, oh yes, the API endpoint. There we go. Okay, this is our API root, and we have created all of these other endpoints, which is great. So we can go and click on any of these. I had expected these to get updated, but maybe it happens what these are pointing at. So I'm going to go to API/users here. I'm just going to write in the bar just because it doesn't have the same thing there. Oh, it does have all the data. It was there all along. It just tormented us for no reason, which is quite upsetting. But yeah, sometimes it doesn't necessarily know what's being good for it, but that's okay. We have all that data, which is very exciting. And I'm glad that we could see that there, which is terrific. Okay, let's quickly move along with this. And we are going to keep on going. Wish I committed to the keeping on going earlier. Okay, it's this section 4. That's section 4 done. It's time to have a front end. We may make it through the whole thing. I'm very happy. Okay, front end. And let us make that be pretty so we can see what we're doing. Okay, cool. We want some React now. So we can have a thing that doesn't look like the back end. That was great to see. And you all saw how happy I was. And it was really handy to be able to see your data and without having to do a whole React front end first. But now we're going to do it hopefully fast and easy with the help of GitHub Copilot Agent. So let's get started. It's going to be starting by creating some necessary files and getting some, and then running the create React app process. So we're going to be generating a React app. Okay, off we go, React app. You've got a timeline. Hopefully we can get this done. It might not be the world's most beautiful app, but that's okay. So this step is about creating the directories that we need for the front end. It's going to create a framework and get all the modules. So doing the NPX thing here is going to be grabbing a bunch of different modules that we need for our React app here. And then we're going to also install Bootstrap. So that's just some like CSS, make things pretty kind of framework. Putting that CSS into our source and indexed JavaScript file. And then we are going to run this. We also need to serve the front end. So we've got currently our Mongo database is live. Our backend is live. And we're going to have a live front end. So once those three are all connected, it's the Holy Trinity. And we will hopefully have a working app. Okay, let's keep on going with the Bootstrap. So make it a bit prettier. Probably not the most prettiest thing, but that's okay. We are going to need to do all these things. Okay, yes. Installing Bootstrap. Moving files around. NPM is our package manager for Node.js. So that's what we've got here happening with React. Okay, and then we are making some more front-end code here. So if we go into our front-end folder, it's no longer going to be completely empty. It's going to have, I lie, it's still empty. It's still working on it. That's the kind of phase that we are not in. We're currently setting up all of our directory structure. I thought it might have added some of the Node information, all the Node packages in there already. Get to that in a hot minute. Hopefully this will be done in a couple of minutes and I can let you all go. If you're here in Australia with me, it's on the Sydney side of the country. It's dinner time. Maybe you're a little later. You know, it's probably the end of your day, but we do have people joining from all over the world, which was really exciting to see. Thank you all for dropping in the chat where you've been joining from. That was really exciting. Love to see you all here. With me on a Tuesday night for me, and maybe a Tuesday day for you, or potentially a Tuesday, middle of the Monday, Tuesday night, if you're joining us from the US, maybe. So who knows who we've got online, but it's been great being with you this time. Hopefully this will go a little faster and we'll get going on that soon. I will go, while it's doing that, I will jump across and just fly through some of our other slides. Got to eat breakfast. Good on your mic. Sounds like someone possibly joining us from EMEA or having a really late breakfast. We are having a little bit of internet issues, seemingly. It's probably everyone here in Sydney watching Netflix at the same time. If only the NBN was a bit better. So hopefully you are succeeding in getting towards a working out. If you want to grab some more resources, these are available: GitHub Copilot features, models, some Copilot extensions, and agent mode. So some other information you can get on those. And then obviously you've got to join us in our world record attempt. Do make sure you go to this link to get your training affirmation and confirm that you've been part of our world record attempt. And then obviously share your success and being part of the hashtag AI Skills Fest as part of this event. And the series of these that have been happening all day, you're part of something big here. So thank you for being here with me, struggling with me. But I thought that the data wasn't there, but it turns out it was there all along. I know some people have been having a little bit of trouble in the chat as well, but I do believe you will get there as well. It has been an interesting time learning this new feature, GitHub Copilot Agent. So I hope you've been enjoying it. I hope you've also been realizing how clever you are and how important you are as part of the process and ensuring things go as you wish. Yes, I will be going back to my other screen, but I'm just flying through these. So we do have a chance to see them before you all need to run off, have breakfast, dinner, lunch, or just snack. But thank you all so much for being here. Do join the, we've got the agent hack coming up. So we've been working with GitHub Copilot Agent today. But what agents are, they're the hot new world in AI agentic flows. So basically having different bots, as you might call them, that have different assigned jobs. So we've got the agent hack coming up. So do make sure you come along to our agents hack here. So do sign up. We'd love to see you there, which would be really exciting. And then obviously keep coming along to different sessions. That is the last slide. So I think everyone's taking the internet. They don't know that we need it more than them. We have agents to make and agents to use. So let's have a jump back here. It's not going the best. So that's a bit sad, but that's okay. We did see, we had, I don't know what's happened to my internet. It's gone really downhill. Let us We've got to hit Y here. That's on me. That's on me, app. I apologize. Agent friend, you've been trying your hardest while I've been talking and not hitting Y. Okay. It's installing the packages, and hopefully we see a million things pop up in our front end folder here. Yeah, thank you, Joshua. I did need to hit confirmation in the terminal. There's so many things going on this screen that's easy to miss. So if anyone else has missed that, you're not the only one. Yeah, because it doesn't happen too often in this flow, which is it's easy to forget that because it has been encouraging us really to work through this portal. But as we've been saying, we are part of the process. Yes. We'll flag that there's another place somewhere in here that you will need to copy across your URL as well for the front end. I think there's become another module. Copilot and GitHub. So if you do want to get all of the resources that we just showed, I think you can grab them all from here, from step 6, maybe. This is just how you can summarize your PRs and things with Copilot as well. So that's a nice fun tip there too. Okay, let's see how we've gone. We need to continue. We're going to get there. I believe in us. Things have been put in the incorrect places. We're going to see it move some stuff around. That is what I was wondering, where all my things were. They're all over here. Let's continue. It's going to move some stuff. Is it? I'm not sure how this is going to work out in the end. Yeah, but hopefully you've all been having a good time here tonight. I don't know how many more people are online, or if you've dashed off to go and fix up your own ones. Hopefully you've had more success than this has had in the last part, just because of my lack of internet for part of it, and then my lack of pressing the Y button. So hopefully it's all going to work out. Okay, if I just pick you up, maybe it's going to be happy. Let's just grab that file, which is in here. And we don't want that in here. We want to grab the front end and put it. No, we're going to put it into the other place, into the actual front end. Move. Okay, let's cancel that. And let's send the last command again, and then hope that it gets happy. And hopefully I can do this in the next 5 minutes. Otherwise, we're going to call it at 1:15, and then hopefully we'll go and have some success ourselves. I would show you my one I made earlier, but I was trying to make it prettier using agents, and I did manage to break it just before the show. So I cannot show you one I prepared earlier like a baking show on TV because I flew too close to the sun and I broke it by trying to make it too pretty. So we'll see if we can get this one running. We're going to hit continue on this one. We're going to, once again, it's going to see, I hope it's not going to grab all the files and put them in the wrong place again. I really should have looked at what I was asking it to do again, because I've just given it all of these things. Fingers crossed. So as I'm saying, it's important to read these. Otherwise, it may go in the wrong place, and then you will have to figure it out potentially by yourself. Sometimes it does help if you switch different models. Potentially, it's something I've seen, which has been interesting. So it's all very much an area that's in flux, but pretty exciting to be part of learning this as we're learning how to build them and learning how to use it as part of our human-based workflows as well. Okay, get that bootstrap. It's in the wrong directory again. That's very upsetting. Front end has things. Please don't tell me. Yeah, okay, you all have to go. You all need to leave this thing, OctoFit tracker, in the wrong place. Okay. Okay, cool. Let's have a look at what the instruction was and see if we can recover this without too much hassle. Otherwise, I will let you go for tonight, and hopefully you have success in finishing this one off by yourself. But we did get a nice working API, and it's just a matter of having a front end that we can use that from instead, which would be prettier. But it's great to be able to have that back end already there, and we can see that it is generating all of that code here. It is part of our front end. It just got a little bit lost along the way, which is a bit sad for it. But we've imported the bootstrap. We did that. Let's just do these last. Install the stable reactor DOM. I think we did that too. Let's just give it a go, move on to the next one and see what it thinks is needed. And otherwise, that's how we succeeded in the last part. Not that I think that blindly going to the next part is a great, workflow as part of your professional life. But for this, hopefully this works out, given we are coming from a fairly strict guideline that's come from that example code that we have. So let's see how it goes with creating these app.javascript files. Maybe it will have some success, and then we will be able to run this and see what it looks like. And that is the goal. And then you can do the beautification later if you would like. But I would like to show you a running app. That would be lovely before I let you go. Okay, it's generating some code. That's great. It's going to have some structure. It's going to have some buttons. We love that. We've got a nav bar coming in. Most of this is a nav bar, and then a lot of lists of data is what we're going to have. So we're going to keep all of these changes that we've definitely read through because it's really important. Keeping all these things, and then fingers crossed we'll be able to run our app in a minute, and that'll be great. When we do run it, you have two options of running it. You will be able to run it through here if you want. If you look in here, you can see launch Django backend and launch React frontend, or you can also run it through the terminal by asking it for some help. It may even give you some commands. So it's still thinking on the next part. And then we'll hopefully get our app in a second. That'll be fabulous. Okay, and when we do run it, if we are going to do it from the terminal, we do need to make sure that we change directory into into the same location that we have package.json. That's how we can run that. So we're keeping all these things. It seems like it's done. That's great. Let us try running it from the debug. So make sure you select the correct one, React Frontend. And then maybe this will be the end of it. Maybe we've done it. It's happening. Open in browser. I saw some red things, so I'm slightly scared. We're continuing because we do approve of this site that we have made. It doesn't necessarily have anything on it, seemingly, but that it does exist. So we're now on a different port than we were. We're on port 3000, which is different than our API backend. So we've got that going on. We can inspect element. We can see what maybe has happened here. If you want to see what's going on, you can always open up the console, and you can always poll these errors here. That's that one that I thought was done. Okay, we're going to pop this one in, and then this is going to be our last command. Got this console error. Hopefully it will figure something out. We'll make some code, then we'll run it again, and we'll be good to go. Okay, here we go. So we're installing another package. This is a router, and hopefully this is going to fix it all up. Okay, it's navigating to the correct location of our existing front end now, which is nice. We like that a lot. As I said, I'm not a React developer, so I can't give it any extra hints, which is a bit sad. But let's fingers crossed this one, and then we will run it again, and we will hope and pray for a beautiful app, because we don't currently know what our app looks like. Let's restart that server. Yes. Let us take a look. Let's refresh the page. And we're still getting, oh, now we're getting a bootstrap error. Anyway, we have a thing that exists. I've shown you how you can inspect element and take that across and have it help you out with fixing that up. So we're going to have to leave it there, because I will need to let my lovely producer Isabel go at some point, because she possibly has dinner plans, or I desire to eat at any point. So thank you all so much for coming today. And then I would get this slide back up, but it is things, it's at the end of the show. So if you do want to grab those links again, you can go to this page, which is somewhere here. Here we go. Let's go all the way through to get the links that you might need. No, I've done it again. I went too fast. Anyway, thank you so much for coming along. You can also grab the links, of course, from the recording. I hope you've enjoyed tonight / morning / today. Thank you for joining me. I'm Renee Noble, and it's been lovely having you and seeing you all participating and giving this a go in the chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Renee, and thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Very interesting session. Oh, wait, things echoing. Could that be me? I think, there we go. But we are running a little bit late. Thank you, Renee. I know technology is not always on our side, but as you mentioned previously, this did come out about 4 days ago. So it really is, we really never know what to expect. But with that being said, thank you all to our 580 plus viewers across the world for joining us today. And thank you as well to our amazing student ambassadors who were busy in the chat answering all of your questions. I mean, you guys made my job easier. I'm sure you guys made Renee's job just as easy as well. So thank you so much. And like I mentioned at the beginning, do not worry if you missed any part of this live stream, because this session was recorded and will be available to view on demand right here on the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel. Now, we do love to create excellent content for you guys, and we would appreciate it if you could take a brief survey by visiting the URL aka.ms/reactor/survey, or just by scanning the QR code that is available on your screen and use the event ID 25292. And with that being said, thank you all for joining us today, and we wish you all a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, everyone.